Howdy, howdy, boys. How we doing? Hope everybody's having a good night. Gonna try to get through this one kind of quick, but not too quick. Just a few things to go over that we want to take a look at from the last couple of days, and then what we're gonna be looking at to get into tomorrow. We have a go ahead and have this on the 4 hour. We'll leave it up here while I go through the beginning stuff here. So, if you would leave it to the talking heads, this is what they're talking about today. Markets fell as the Labor Department's Jolts job reported job openings in February showed a steep decline, raising concerns about the strength of the labor market and economic growth. The Dow and the S&P bull snap 4-day winning streaks, and then the Nasdaq was down for a second straight session after hitting more than a 6-month high on Friday. Um, I do think that one of the big things that had to do with today, Jolt sure a little bit, but not really. I mean, it was just at a technical standpoint where a catalyst finally met it, and we know how that goes. But I do think something that did have an effect on it is the second part here about the bank stocks. Bank stocks stumbled as JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon did tell shareholders that the recent banking problems tied to collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank are not over, and the repercussions will last a long time. Now, shares of FRC, CMA, and KeyBank all dipped more than 5%. But one thing that is needs to stand out there is that shares of the larger banks, including JP Morgan, GS, MS, Citi, Wells Fargo, they all took pretty decent hits as well today. Some of the things that were another standouts that were down today were Caterpillar, John Deere, United Rentals, which is URI. We won't take a look at those today, but we may take a look at those as we get uh, further into things as we go, maybe possibly even tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and jump back on this ES chart we played there. That was the Nasdaq in the intro there on the replay. We're going to go ahead and jump back to the ES chart here. We're going to throw that on a 15-minute replay while I go through some of this so we can just kind of watch as this develops. So, basically what we saw was after a 7 straight day 190-point rally where every little 20-30 micro point dip was rapidly bought up within quite a pretty quick amount of time there. We finally saw a decent healthy pullback that bulls really needed to do this. We needed to see if they could pull back and hold on to decent support, which we did get a fake breakdown today, a failed breakdown, which is what we are always going to be watching for. We keep talking about the importance of this 4140 area. The fail of that was going to target the gravity point, and we had those lower targets this morning that we went over, and that is exactly what we saw play out here today. So basically, once we saw this start to break down here, we knew that we were targeting down here. Now, this is what we drew out in the morning in real time, and we saw this play out, and we were targeting these. We took this short down here once that broke through the 4140. We did this all in real time, so it was a pretty standard there day as far as those two trades. That's the only two trades that we mainly took as far as in the main room there. Um, we have been talking about quite a bit though lately is that strong uptrends reverse only when a support or a breakout fails. This means looking at the chart here for the origin point of the last thrust upwards, which is the latest breakout, right? That's what we want to look for, the base of the latest breakout. Then the failure of that typically starts the unwind. So we spoke about this a bit today and yesterday, and that's at 4140. We do go over this every single night, but we did go over this morning. But obviously, this morning was a little bit of a bit of a rough start as we had the room was a little bit slow there, but that's okay. So ES basically formed another base above 4150-ish, and that's where it kind of broke out. This then failed in the morning here, which is what we're talking about right in here, right? So when that failed in the morning, which finally triggered the sale. Now, waiting for this signal to occur is a much easier alternative than trying to short that randomly and hoping for a reversal. But looking at the price action generally here, as we've been talking about, we do expect more complex trading this week, and trading level to level is going to be absolutely essential, as we saw today, right? That's exactly what happened today, and we talked about this a few times today. We spiked to that 4172 up here overnight. We sold down to the here. Let's go ahead and grab the old skimmer there. So we right up to our target there, right? That's exactly where we were targeting, right? We went up to that 4170 overnight, then we sold down to this 4148-ish. They popped back up to 4160 and then sold down all the way down to these lower, went right below our 4120 which then rallied from there, right? It rallied back up here. And this is where we call this a failed breakdown, right? That's generally the idea of how those work. And that was the last trade. Now, we did not take this trade. I did not take this trade. I don't know if anybody else did. We only played this up a little bit in the morning, and then we took this short, and that was it. You could have taken this, and we even talked about it, but I didn't want to take any more trades than those two. And that's what we've been trying to do, is as few trades as possible and get the heck out of this, right? Basically big picture, a few structures worth noting. Firstly, we've got the downtrend line from the fairway high. We can go ahead and go out to the MES contract here, and I'll show you guys. It's a little bit easier to see it here. Let me jump out of this real quick. I've got them all in here, all ready to go. So let's jump in and grab the MES contract here. Let's bounce out to the 4-hour here. There we go. All right, so you got this downtrend line here. We got this upper trend line here. This is the one that really mattered, right? This is the one we were talking about as in the structure to the top that was acting as resistance. Now, we did try to get a failed breakout above it, and it slammed it right back down there, and that is exactly what we were expecting to see. This was really slowing. Remember how we kept feeling it was really slowing down? That's exactly what happened. Now, to the downside, we want to watch out for this lower one down in here. And then relatively, as long as we stay inside of this channel here, this yellow channel here, we are still pushing the bullish play. Now, this middle trend line here is going to be key if they test this. If they break this, we can easily test these back down to these lower structures down here, right? But we're going to be watching that in the next day or two as we move forward there. So talking about moving forward here, basically levels that to bid direct, we are in a corrective mode now. So as always, we're going to prefer failed breakdowns for longs. The 41, 18, 22 support zone is now quite well tested. It's very, very risky down in here. So, you could buy it again, but it likely flushes if retested. If you're going to try to buy it, it would be best to wait for the fail and then reclaim something like test 4114, then pop back above failed breakdown, and we will definitely shout that out in chat. Another option is seeing a test of 4118 or 4120, then spiking back above that 4131 gravity point, which is 4106, but there is all the way up to the 4131. It's just a cluster of areas, guys. If we do break that down, levels marked major are generally spots where we would be interested in trying longs, including that 4090, 4100 cluster, then probably not all the way down until 4040, 4048 afterwards. We would likely be short into that, and you can see where these line up here, right? 4100 right in them with this trend line. Watch down here, 4065, 4040. So all these levels line up, right? And as we're moving up, these trend lines are rising, right? Rate of change. That's why these trends and these targets continue to raise up. That's why we keep marking those levels major every night and every morning, right? So I'll post those up here tonight, and then we'll repost the order flow in the morning as we've progressed so that we kind of know. Big picture bull case is unchanged from the last 3 weeks. Bulls are fully in control as long as we are inside this yellow rising channel. Support now is that 4040. Short term for tomorrow, though, we're going to be watching that 4115-ish area and down into 4100. Generally, as long as those can continue holding, we do have a higher probability that we can build a very complex base in this 4100, 4165 zone. This will require very tactical trading. I'm not going to make any quips, qualms about that. That is definitely going to. The path is impossible to predict, but could look something like a popped 4140 dip, perhaps even retest 4100, then rally back up to levels 4148, 4165, etc., retest that top structure again. In terms of spots to add on strength, we are going to be looking for scalps above the 4133 or so, back into the 4140 resistance. The bear case now is going to be on a fail of this 4115, 4114, basically the lows of today. If those get taken out, that's where this bear case is going to open up. One spot to consider short would be on the break of that. Ideally, though, as always, we want to see a bounce there first to drain this demand. We don't want to just take it short right away, right? We want to take something like this. Like we see this come down in the morning, right? We don't just take that short. We want to see it kind of find a base, bounce, hold this now as resistance, then continue back down. That's when we want to take this. This is the same thing we do every single day. We teach this every single day. It's the same way I trade. It's the same way we make money every single day. Now, there's days where it might not work, but guess what? We don't trade that on that day, and we might not make money on that day, and that's okay. Not playing a position is taking a position, guys. Remember that. Again, you know, this is going to reduce the odds of getting caught in a failed breakdown when you do that. After that, though, we would consider shorting like 41.13, 41.10, somewhere in there. Write it down towards 4100, 40.90. Now, that's where I would be getting out the majority of the position. Now, 40.90 fails, then we could get a very substantial leg down, and that's where we want to consider a very real large position, a large position below 40.80 for a very long, strong demand draining bounce. We play the same thing that we just did here, but down here, this is going to be a much higher probability. I will go full size at that point. This will be the same 1 or 2, 3, 1 to 3 ES minis, 5 to 6 at the most micros, for those that are in that bracket. And then on this, I would be taking a full size, which would be like 5 minis. I'm going to close 3 immediately, and then I'm going to play around with those 2 remaining, right? That's kind of how I do it. And then I'll add micros in there, and then I'll start to hedge. We also would have our long volatility positions to start to mess around from that point. Kind of looking at this on a much larger view here, we do just expect more complex tactical price action. We'll be trading this level to level. The big picture probability, as long as we can hold the back test discussed that we just talked about, then we can ultimately build a sideways base, and set up for the next leg to 41.83, 42.11, which was what? We all know 42.11. We all remember that. Tomorrow we should see something like a test of 41.40, pullback, perhaps even 4100, 40.90, and then somewhere a pop somewhere in there. But again, as always, no crystal balls, no guessing, no predicting. We just want to have a strong plan for all 3 scenarios that could possibly happen, and then we let the chart tell us what it's doing, and we use probability as it goes from one to the other, and that's how we take our position, and that's how we make our money. Going to keep this short and sweet, boys. I hope you have a good one. I'll get all this stuff posted up ASAP as much as I can. Obviously, we're watching a lot of NHL and NBA tonight, so we're going to get back to the games. Take it easy, and I will talk to you guys all in just a little bit. Peace, boys.